I stepped on the scales at the beginning of November 2025 and I saw a weight that I had dreamt of seeing for 25 years. I had lost 10 stone. So that's my happy ending, right? I dreamt of seeing that number for so long and having the fantasies of what would go alongside being my target weight that I hadn't considered that once I got to my target weight, I might still be unhappy. Every day we are bombarded with the glossy side of weight loss success, and very few people come back to talk about the negative consequences of weight loss and reaching a target. Today, in this video, I'm sharing the darker side of my weight loss reality and how I'm getting through. For most of my life, I was the big girl. That was my identity. Every plan, every diet, every stone lost and then regained, it all lived under the idea that once I reached my target weight, I'd be happy, I'd be confident, and there wouldn't be any barriers. Yet here I am, over 10 stone down, and I still feel like Big Keely. I still have the same questions of myself and the same blames that I had then. You're not good enough. This is your fault. How could you have done that to your body? I still feel like the person that would walk into the room and take the mick out of myself first, be the first one to call myself fat, because if I owned it, then no one else could. The scariest part for me over the last year is that I feel like the weight came off really quickly, but my brain couldn't keep up. It was like my body was changing, but my mind didn't get the memo. And that's when I realized that for me, the weight loss isn't going to be the hardest part. It's going to be surviving what comes next. When I was on Mounjaro, what you're going to eat next, the fear of missing out around food, it was like someone went in and turned the volume right down. And there were absolutely moments that I was lulled into a false sense of security, believing that I was fixed and that I'd just have to use willpower to get me through when I stopped using the medication, even though that was a hidden concept I'd never been able to dial into before. However, what's really hit me is that actually the monster for me isn't just the food noise or the hunger in isolation. It's also that propensity to emotionally eat, which Mounjaro didn't fix. I'm now having to deal with that. So are you bored? Eat. Are you stressed? Eat. Are you lonely? Definitely eat. Mounjaro didn't fix that. Now, you've all seen the relatively prettily packaged before and after photos, but nobody is really seeing the intimate side of before and after, the bit that when I change, I dread, the bit that makes me think about summer and wearing shorts or a swimsuit and makes me cringe inside, but also goes back to the hatefulness that I had towards myself when I was Big Keely, the how could you do this to your body? Look what you've done to yourself. The idea of losing weight was so appealing and also felt so unrealistic that the image I had of my body in my head when I got there is not the reality. The body that I have is not the Instagram friendly body that I imagined that I would have. That takes some getting used to. And it's not just about the stretch marks or the loose skin or the sagging in places that shouldn't be there. It's the anticipation of getting to a target weight and the amazingness of that. I feel like a 90-year-old, and that's quite hard to overcome because I've dreamt of being this weight for so long, but the image versus the reality are hugely different. You know, people will go, oh, you look amazing, you must feel fantastic. On some level, I feel like a fraud. I think in my head, if only you could actually see what I look like, you wouldn't be saying that. And then there are the people around you, friends, family, doctors, strangers, work colleagues. What I would say is I definitely feel that since I've lost weight, my social standing net worth has gone up. And that also makes me feel a certain way, because why should I be more valued now that I'm thinner? I don't bring anything really different to the table apart from size 10 clothes. It feels like it took away from the fact that Big Keely was still kind, was still helpful, still worked really hard. But my standing in society, I feel in certain situations with certain people, has gone up simply because I've lost so much weight. And then that makes me think about, well, what happens then if you regain the weight again? There's also the people that are threatened by my weight loss, people that rode on the wavelength of Big Keely, what having Big Keely in their lives did for them. So for example, friends that I used to go out with who rode the coattails of appearing little and dainty and pretty because Big Keely was alongside them. Those same people that when I think back now would also be quite comfortable to make fun of Big Keely because I was doing it. So that gave everybody carte blanche to do that alongside them. Their attitudes have changed and there's a threatenness now because socially, what do I actually bring to that relationship other than what I did? And then there's the other side of it, the people that expect you to be happy and bubbly and confident and the slim new version all of the time, 24/7. But the reality is I was Big Keely for 25 years and that front and that facade doesn't just go. Those insecurities do remain there, but there's an idea that you've lost the weight now, so you shouldn't have any issues, you should be happy. All of this is going on, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking, but what happens if I do regain all of the weight? I don't want to be another horror story of someone that's lost a massive amount of weight and then gained a massive amount of weight back, or is just miserable. I don't want to do that. I've got a little survival guide of how I'm getting through, some of which I shared with you and most of which you know. So first, I log my food, not to punish myself, not to give myself extra work to do, not to track every little deficit, but because I need something that's going to keep me accountable and is going to keep me in control. Now, if I use all of the techniques around emotional eating and they're not successful and I end up binging half a packet of biscuits, or on the first day of my period, I absolutely have to eat that family-sized bar of Galaxy, by logging that, I'm not punishing myself, but I'm taking accountability and awareness. There's no drama. I just log it and I move on from it. For me personally, the moment that I stop logging and taking accountability, I lose all sorts of control. Very quietly in the background is when I will start to lose weight, and boom, before you know it, 3 months down the line, I'm 4 stone up. Step 2 is the 20-minute rule. And I talked about this in my emotional eating video, which watch if you haven't, but when I'm feeling hungry or I'm having a craving, I take the time that it would have taken me to choose or make something to eat and then eat it, around 20 minutes, to really work out if it is actual hunger. Let's say I've not eaten in 3 hours and I am feeling hungry. I know when I'm going to eat next and then I eat. If this is about boredom, I find something to do. If this is about thirst, I have a drink. If this is about loneliness, I'll go and bother Matt. I'm finding a solution to the problem. And what I'm finding also is that very rarely I'm having to go beyond the first steps of that. This 20 minutes is used really wisely because I'm able to go off and do something else with it, whereas before I wouldn't be able to. So then step 3 are the daily non-negotiables, the things that I do even though I don't want to do them, but I don't regret doing them once I've done them. Move, drink water, make sure that I'm eating regular, healthy, balanced meals. Now, in relation to the physical body issues that I've talked about, I'm just trying to do as much as I can. I'm using creams and bio oil like it's going out of fashion. I've started to implement weight workouts. I'm gonna start using a machine to see if that does anything to tighten up the loose skin. I think the reality is the loose skin on my legs, as you will see from the pictures, is quite severe. One of the other things I am exploring is just for my legs be skin removal surgery. So that's something I'm currently looking into, but as we all know, the cost of that is extortionate. And that's why for me, being slim isn't the solution to the problems. If you don't work on the other stuff, the emotions, the habits, the mindset, being thin, just for me anyway, isn't going to be everything it was always cracked up to be. And I think there's an illusion that losing weight would solve all of my problems. And now that I've lost the weight, it hasn't solved all of my problems, and I've still got a lot of work to do. What I don't want is this to come across like, oh, I've lost weight and I'm still absolutely miserable. I'm not. There are many, many positives that I've shared throughout all of my journey around losing weight, and what an achievement that's been. But this is also the reality of it. This is the darker side of it that I think is important to share, because it is real life. Now, in my next video, it's going to be my 9-week post Mounjaro update. We're going to look at side effects, food noise, hunger, emotional eating, and the result of all of that on the scales this week. So if you want a raw, unfiltered version of somebody that started the GLP-1 journey, did the GLP-1 journey, and has now stopped and is trying to manage maintenance after GLP-1, don't forget to follow, and I will see you in the next one.